Welcome to the short presentation on how to share materials, assignments, and announcements using Google Classroom. The focus of this presentation will be on a little background regarding Google, Apps for Education, and Google Classroom. Then we'll look at announcements and assignments, how to make them, how to post them, and then we'll wrap things up with examining how to create a resources folder where you can share materials that students might be using and referencing all year long. As you choose to work with Google Classroom and Google Apps for Education, one thing that you always want to hold on to and remember is that Google Classroom is a content management system. It's not a learning management system such as the old My Big Campus. So it's good for disseminating materials and, as I said, announcements and questions and sharing sources, but it's not the best in terms of necessarily managing your entire class online. You might want Angel or Blackboard for something like that. Down the road, from what I've been informed through different webinars and trainings, is that Google Apps for Education is eventually going to be referred to as Google Suite. So if you eventually come on to that name, Google Suite, and they start talking about how Google Docs and Slides interact with that and how you can use that to change your classroom instruction, etc., rest assured, it's the same thing as Google Apps for Education with the new Google Classroom function. A lot of people often are concerned with using a content management system with copyright violations. One thing about Google Classroom is that it is not open to the public. All exchanges, interactions, and sharing of materials is exclusive to the district and only people registered by the district. So knowing this might ease some of your fear with posting things online because it's in a restricted environment. If you ever do have copyright questions about what you can do, always see your librarian for those. As you can see on the screen, this is a sample Google Classroom, simply named Test Class, and there's the three parts to Google Classroom that you're all familiar with, being that this is an intermediate presentation. In order to begin with probably the easiest task in Google Classroom, we'll start with creating an announcement. Over here to the right in the bottom corner, you will see a plus symbol, and that plus symbol will allow you to create an announcement, create an assignment. You could create a question that students might respond to on the stream back and forth. You might have them respond to each other's responses, etc. And then there's the option for reusing different posts so that you're not having to type or link the same things over time. For us, we're going to focus on creating an announcement. I simply click Create Announcement, and what you see is a pop-up box that first says for, and it gives the name of the class that you're currently in. You have the option when you're creating an announcement, a question, or an assignment to assign it or post it in multiple classes. Do this if you're okay with having the announcement or the assignment all go out at once, but if you want to have assignments go out shortly before classes to begin or at a certain date, you're going to want to do this individually and work through each class that you might have in Google Classroom. For this, we're going to stick with just the test class. Down here, you have a little line that says share with your class. Here, you can simply make a short statement, an announcement, something that isn't too long because you don't have too much room to do your announcement. For example, we'll put down, remember that all late work is due by Friday. And as you saw there, as I was typing, it does spell check as you're going along. So those that don't feel like the best spellers in the world, this will help you keep an eye on that. I'll put an exclamation mark to bring some enthusiasm and excitement to that. And then below that, you have the option of assigning a topic to your announcement. The topics I haven't really explored all that much, but it's a way to categorize and organize announcements and assignments in your Google Drive. Down here at the bottom, you see options for attaching different types of materials to your announcement. So maybe you want to make an announcement that has students examine a map before next class. You could attach that by clicking on the paperclip, which would allow you to pull a file from your computer. You could pull something from your Google Drive. You could link to a YouTube video. At this point, Google Classroom only links to YouTube videos, but you can get video links by simply copying and pasting the video link from whatever site you're pulling from, and then attaching that link with this chain icon right here. One great feature that is relatively new to Google Classroom is posting an announcement or an assignment according to a schedule. Over here, as you develop your announcement, it automatically saves everything. If you're not quite ready to post and maybe you have some things you might want to add but you have to find them first, you could click Save Draft and this announcement will be saved on your stream page where it's only visible to you as a draft. You could post it right now by clicking Post, or you could click Schedule. When you click Schedule, it allows you to pick a date and a time that you would want this specific announcement to be released to that class that you're assigning it to. So you might do that before specific classes so they don't get assignments or announcements too early where they get a head start on them, or where it might cause confusion with work that they're already doing. So once you set those things, you can click Schedule and then it gets stored up here in the background and it will be released at the specified date and time that you set. In addition to it being released on Google Classroom on your class page where the stream page is, you'll also get an email confirmation that the announcement has been posted. For this, I'm not going to schedule a time for it. I'm just going to click Post. It's all ready to go because it was just a short reminder. And as you can see, all new posts are at the top of the stream page. As you add more posts, announcements, assignments, questions, what happens is you create a long line of different topics and things that you posted throughout the year. So things can get lost as they add on or as you add on to the stream. If you had clicked Save as a Draft, up here is where all of your saved posts go until you're ready to release them. So if I click on that right now, you can see that I have one post that I've saved. I haven't released it. I click on that and then I can edit anything I want to. I could add more attachments. I could change the attachments by getting rid of what's there. And then again, all I have to do is choose what I want to do. Post it now, I could schedule it, or again, if I wasn't quite ready, I could save it as a draft. When you go to click Schedule and you do schedule it, as I mentioned earlier, it will also queue up here until it's the date and time that you wanted to release that announcement. If at any time there is something in your stream you might want to get rid of, you might want to alter, these three dots over here give you some menu options. You could edit, you could delete, or you could copy the link and post it elsewhere. With that, we'll move on and take a look at creating an assignment. You have a few more options, but it works pretty much just like creating an announcement does. Again, I come over to the plus sign, and this time I'm going to go and create an assignment. Now, assignments are different than announcements because assignments create work that has to be turned in by your students, and it will actually indicate that something has to be done, and if a due date passes, it'll be marked as late on Google Classroom until that student actually submits it. Like an announcement, you do have the opportunity to attach different materials that a student might have to interact with in order to complete the assignment, and you might even put up a worksheet or a template that the student can use to complete whatever the assignment is. The announcements that we looked at just before this are not designed to collect work. The goal of an announcement is simply to disseminate information and release resources for the student to take a look at. So in the assignment box that you see here, again, you've got the option to pick what classes you want to create the assignment for. You have the option of putting a title. I tend to stick to either the title of the readings or the title of the assignment that I'm going to use in the gradebook. For this example, we'll go with Las Casas Journal. Okay? And below that, you have the opportunity to put some instructions. I tend to put brief instructions on how to get the materials from where they are in Google Classroom into whatever app they might need to use to interact with those. So for this, I'll simply say open journal entry in Notability, then summarize the article in Google Docs and attach summary to this assignment. Depending on what grade level you work with, you might have more detailed directions that you give in class or that are actually part of whatever things you attach to the actual assignment. Right below that line of directions, you see the option of creating a due date. And not only can you create a due date, but you can also create a time that it's due. So here I could say that this assignment that I'm making as an example is due on the 9th, which is Friday, and I could put a time, maybe by 3 o'clock. Or you might want to put a time that's just before the class period begins that the student is in, so that they know they have to submit these before class because that's when they're due. For this, I'll just leave it with the actual date. Again, I have the option of creating a topic. I haven't worked with creating topics. It's a way to organize the files as they come in Google Drive. I'm sure some of your colleagues might be able to help you a little bit more with what topics are and how to use them. For this, I'm going to need to pull a file from my computer. I could have pulled it from Drive, but I don't have it on my Drive. And again, you've got YouTube videos you can link, or you could create a link by copying and pasting a link from a different video site. So I click on the paperclip, and what you see is a box that pops up where, again, I have options to pull files from recent areas, my Drive, or something that's starred. I'm pulling from my computer, so I'm going to click on this box in the middle of the screen. It opens a box many of us are familiar with. I'm going to scroll down to where I have the Lacasis document, and I'm going to double click it to attach it. I could add more things to this assignment if needed, but for this, I'm good to go. I click upload. It takes a moment to process it depending on the size of the file, and then it's upload. Once it's here, you have the option of allowing the students to simply view the file. If it was a document, they might be able to edit the file or add to it. Or you could make a copy for each student, which means there's going to be a template made that matches this file, and every student will have their own copy. Usually you would want to do that if you were sending out maybe a Word document or a Google template in which the student's going to be doing work in it, and they need to obviously add their own thoughts. Students can edit file means that one document becomes accessible to every single student. So if there was something a class needed to collaborate on, you might have them work on one document altogether. At times it can get a little haywired with people constantly typing things in, but it's an option you could seek out and try. For this, I'm just going to leave it as students viewing the file because it's just a PDF. They're going to be opening it in Notability anyway. And then again, I have the decision to make. Am I ready to post this? I would click Assign now instead of simply posting. Do I want to schedule this for a specific time and day? Or do I want to hold on to this right now until I'm sure I'm ready to post it by clicking Save Draft? I'm happy with it. I'm good to go, so I click Assign, and again, it's going to assign it, and again, you see it at the top of your stream. So things that are older get buried in the stream page. On your student's view of the student classroom, they will see the assignment. They will simply need to click on this to open it in Notability. They can manipulate it, add annotations in Notability, and then from Notability, they could save it to their Google Drive. In their view, they have the option to add the file here, or they could create if it was a direction to use Google Slides or Google Docs, etc. For that, they would click on Add. They would pull the file from the Google Drive they sent from Notability, and they would attach it to this, and then there would be a box here that says Turn In that they would click on until it turns green and says Done. Here, as you can see, there's only one student in the test class. They're not done. When they are done, it'll shift over to this. As you can see with this example down here, you get a number of who's not done and who's done. When everything is turned in, you might be able to go to this page, or you will be able to go to this page, and you'll be able to see who's turned it in. You can click on it to go to their work. Therefore, you can evaluate their work. You could add comments if you need to. And then here is where you'd put the grade. It does not go to eSchool. You'd have to manually transfer it in yourself. And when you're all set to return it, you click on the box here next to the student's name, and you click Return. The grade and any feedback you gave will automatically be sent to the student. So with that, that's your Google assignment. And the plague that affects all teachers is the lack of time, which I have arrived at. So I will not be able to show you the resources file or folder creation at this time. If you need help with that or you're interested in it, please come see me and I'll help you set up a resources folder for your Google Classroom. Have a great day.